Hey everyone, it's Boogeyman Ben. Hope everyone's doing well and having a good day. Today is Comic Book Wednesday, so this is the second Comic Book Wednesday that I will be doing. Just like last week's, I will showcase some of the books I picked up today, and then I'll also have a segment towards the end of the video where I talk about a comic book series that I was a fan of growing up and give you a little insight into that. So I thank everybody for checking out this video and hope everyone enjoys it. Stay tuned. Now, the first new book I picked up is The X-Files Season 10, which I just found out about earlier this week, and I made sure that the good folks at Flying Colors put this on hold for me. So this is actually going to be considered the 10th season of the show, so everybody knows the show ran for 9 seasons. There was 2 movies, one that took place in the middle of the series, Fight the Future, and then you had I Want to Believe, which came out in 2008. And a lot of people didn't like that movie because it was more like a X-Files episode as opposed to picking up on where the season 9 left off. But it was in continuity with how the season or how the series had ended. But along with the writers Joe Harris, Michael Walsh, and Jordi Belair, executive producer Chris Carter is working on this book as well, and this is going to pick up from where the last movie ended and go into what is essentially a 10th season in comic book form. So I think this is really exciting, and I was really happy to pick this up. I haven't obviously read the book yet since I just picked it up, but was looking through at some of the art, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. Yeah, I became a pretty big fan of the X-Files. Remember, it was one of the big shows of the 90s. Big fan of David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. So, yeah, I'm really excited to read this, and I really like the art. I like art like this. So, yeah, really excited about this book, and glad there's a new series. The next book I picked up is one of my favorite series right now, and that's Morbius, the Living Vampire. And this is issue number 6. And I really love this book. I was a big fan of Morbius and I think it was called the Midnight Suns. That was in the 90s when you have the Night Stalkers. You had Darkhold, you had Morbius, you had Spirits of Vengeance with John Blaze and Ghost Rider. So that was a really fun series, and then they picked this up again. And I really like this. The beginning of this series, Morbius escapes from captivity and he ends up in this small town called Brownsville outside of Manhattan, outside of New York, and he becomes like a hero protecting the townspeople there from like gangsters and things like that. And this book, actually, this one is going to include the Amazing Spider-Man. Well, he's actually not called. He's called the Superior Spider-Man now. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. Yeah, I really like the art in this one too. So yeah, it's a really good series. I'm happy they brought Morbius back. I've always been a fan of his. I used to be a big Spider-Man collector, and I actually sold all my Spider-Man series. Sold them to a friend of mine, so I'm happy they're going to a good home. But yeah, I grew out of Spider-Man. I'm more of a fan of a character in the Spider-Man series, the Hobgoblin. That's a story for another video, but Hobgoblin's always been my favorite character in the Spider-Man series, and I sort of became a fan of Spider-Man because of that character and that villain. So yeah, I just kind of grew out of Spider-Man, grew more into like things like Morbius and Batman. Those are the comics I've really come to collect as I've gotten older. But yeah, really looking forward to reading this one. Big fan of this series. And the last book I got was the new Batman book. So this is issue number 21, Zero Year. I actually need to get caught up on my Batmans. I haven't been as current with them. I do collect it. I only collect the regular Batman series, and I haven't picked up since the Joker came back several issues back. That's where I kind of started, and I haven't caught up with these. But I've been catching up on my books. I just caught up on Hack and Slash, which is a comic book series I really liked, and that one just actually ended. I did the finale, so that book series is over. So now I have the chance to catch up on my Batmans. But really like Batman. Really like the artwork. I'll just show you a little bit of it here. Yeah, I became a big fan of Batman after the Dark Knight movies, the Christopher Nolan movies. Just got back into him again. I was into him in the '90s too, after the Michael Keaton Batman films. So I just got back into him again. I just find him more interesting than Spider-Man, which is why I don't collect Spider-Man anymore. And I got into Batman again, like dark characters, I guess, as I've gotten older. So yeah, like I said, I haven't been caught up, so I got to catch up on my Batmans. But yeah, this is the last new one I got this week. So the classic comic book series that I want to talk about today is Fright Night. Yeah, Fright Night was a comic book series that was released in 1988 by Now Comics, a comic books company that no longer exists, but it was based on, of course, the classic 1985 Tom Holland film starring the great Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale, Amanda Burst, Roddy McDowall, and of course the amazing Stephen Jeffries. I was a huge fan of that film from the first time I saw it when I was 12, and this comic book series came out in the summer of 1988, and that was right before I started high school. And they were actually promoting this comic book series right around the time they were shooting Fright Night 2. Which didn't get released, a nationwide release like the original Fright Night. I didn't actually see Fright Night 2 until it came out on tape the following year, because it was only at a limited run. I think the company that was filming it went bankrupt, so they never got a huge distribution in theaters. But like it says right here, the movie, the sequel, the regular monthly comic. So they were shooting, either they had just started shooting, they had finished shooting the movie, and it still had not been released at this time. And the hope was it was supposed to be released the following winter, spring, and it never came out, at least where I lived. I think it was only released in Los Angeles and some small theaters. So the first issue of Fright Night actually focused on the first movie. So it was broken down into two parts. So you have issue 1 and issue 2. I love the cover for issue 1. You have Jerry Dandridge hovering over Charlie and Peter. And I think the likenesses, the art on this was great. I mean, it really captured the spirit of the movie right from the first issue. I don't take these out too much, but you have the infamous opening scene here. Evil Ed right there. And I really like these books a lot. It's one of my favorite comic book series of all time. Here's some of the art from issue 2, like the club scene. I mean, it was a great comic book series, and I really was hooked from issue 1. I just really felt like they did a great job. The thing that was great about the series is that it didn't always just focus on vampires. It actually focused on a couple of, werewolves and sea creatures and brain bats and things like that. Covens, like witch covens and things like that. This one was actually supposed to be, issue number 3 was supposed to be the return of Evil Ed, but it actually got pushed back until later in the series. So this one dealt with these brain bats, and it was a cool issue. I like that one. I love the cover. This one dealt with this octopus people kind of thing. This one was really cool. This one really felt like a Twilight Zone episode almost. This is this guy that wants to turns into this giant spider. I thought that one was kind of interesting. I love the cover for issue number 6 because it deals with werewolves. That one was a good one too. And that's a great cover. I love that one. Issue number 8 is my favorite from the series, and that's when The Revenge of Evil Ed, and featured the great Stephen Jeffries on the cover. One of my favorite covers. Love this issue. If I ever get to meet Stephen Jeffries, I'm going to have him sign this for sure. And then you had part 2 of The Return, or The Revenge of Evil Ed. And this was the adaptation of Fright Night Part 2. Here's issue number 10. Really, this one dealt with aliens, and the bad is Evil Ed, and he fights the aliens in it. That was a really interesting issue. Here's issue number 12. The character of Amy was only in the first 2 issues. It's a weird cover. But that was actually a really disturbing story in this one. This one was actually based on a Fright Night movie that Charlie Brewster's hosting Fright Night for Peter, and then this is like a movie. It's a creepy story. This one was really neat because this one featured Dracula coming back to life. And I love this cover. This is like my second favorite cover. Like evil, looking real evil there. It's a good issue. And this is the one where Jerry Dandridge is resurrected. Issue number 17. This is issue number 19. And this one is like a really good one. This is where Charlie like becomes a werewolf. I thought that one was really interesting. Now, issue 22 was the last issue. I actually have a couple of these. This is where Jerry Dandridge and Evil Ed fight. Yeah, I really like the art in this one. It's evil. Big purple bat. Yeah, but I love this one because they actually, Evil and Jerry have this encounter. Just thought that was cool. I really liked this issue a lot. So yeah, I was really bummed that this was the last issue of Fright Night. I guess it just wasn't a big seller. So they canceled the book. And there was supposed to be the issue 23 they actually put out in a 3D Halloween special. So this one, the story in this one was actually supposed to be what issue number 23 was about. So I was glad I at least got this, at least that they did print it, but they didn't print it like in a normal comic, normal series form. They put it in this 3D, so it's a 3D comic. And then this issue is another one of the 3D ones that they put out. I didn't get all the 3D ones because they were pretty much just reprinting the issues that had come out and just putting them in 3D. So yeah, I was bummed. I was really bummed that this series got canceled. It only ran for 2 years. But it was one of my favorite comic book series of all times, and if memory serves, Tom Holland actually has the rights to this, and I think he's been trying to get another Fright Night comic book series based on the original film made, but I don't know how likely that'll be. But now that horror has become such a hot property again, especially in comics and television and everything, maybe it will happen. But yeah, I mean, Fright Night, the comic book series, one of my favorite comic book series ever. So that's going to be it for Comic Book Wednesday this week. And I hope everyone enjoyed this and appreciate it. And I have more videos coming later this week. So I hope everyone has a nice evening. Take care.